do too, where if there's two enemies on the screen, the computer says, okay, one enemy in front, one enemy in back. They don't just charge at you all in the same direction, which would be too easy. But anytime if there's more than one enemy on screen, the other one will always go behind you, which is just dumb. So you just have to plan for that anyway. But Cutthroat Island, it was another kind of beat 'em up game. Only this beat 'em up, you have a sword. Not bad. You can also still punch the enemies, but you also have a sword and you have a block. It's all right. It was worth a rental. Frantic Flea came out this year, 1996. Frantic Flea, a game I didn't quite know what I was doing, but it played a little bit like, not exactly like Flicky, but it has that same kind of Flicky idea where you have to like run around and collect all the fleas so you can move on through the exit. There's a whole lot of things to pick up, but you can also defeat the enemies by usually just doing your little cyclone attack and ramming into them. But you have to like run into them like 5 or 6 times until they finally explode. And they keep coming back too. So Frantic Flea, I mean, is this one of those games that came out for the Super Nintendo? The Brainies was a puzzle-ish game. They could have put this on the NES, and if it was on the NES, it would have been one of those like odd-colored cartridges from like not Wisdom Tree, but like a Color Dreams or something like that. Well, you have these different characters, and you have to put them on their color of base, I suppose. When you move the characters, they will keep moving until they hit a wall, or until they hit an item or an object or a something. So you always have to keep that in mind and consider that when you're moving them around, because later on levels, you have to move one person to a certain place, but don't put them in where you're supposed to go yet, because you need to have to make another person crash into them to block them from going any further, to move them into the space they're supposed to be. It was a puzzle game. It was Brainies. It was alright. Power Pigs of the Dark Age, a little bit like Aladdin for the Sega Genesis, if it wasn't as good and you had medieval pigs, is exactly what Power Pigs of the Dark Age. Was it a comic book? Was it a cartoon? I don't know if it was either, or maybe it was. But again, this is another one of those games from Titus Software, another one from Titus. There's going to be a few of them on this list. Interesting to see. One of the highlights in 96.
Your Fingerhut Betty credit account gives you access to thousands of holiday gifts and everyday essentials. No monthly payments to stretch your budget.
Okay,
Plus, every purchase
I'm
is
not
a credit
playing.
building opportunity. Shop now at fingerhut.com.
No, man. No.
We've taken control.
How to get spotted up to $200. Apply for a Chime checking account. Install the app. Set up direct deposit. Unlock fee-free overdraft up to $200. Grab an ice cream to celebrate.
Oh, wait.
Hard point located.
6 is we got Super Mario RPG, and this was that notion where you're like, oh, hold on now. You're going to have an RPG. You're going to have a collaboration with Nintendo and Squaresoft, like the two best companies, especially for the Super Nintendo, especially for the time. You're going to have an RPG with Mario in the universe, and you can actually play as Bowser in this one. I thought to me that was one of the highlights, was the fact that Bowser was on your team to accomplish this quest. And it was a lot of people, maybe their first RPG experience, because maybe they were too afraid to get into RPGs or something, but they like Mario, a little bit on the easier side, but still a lot of fun. Like, it was a little bit on the easy side, you know what I mean? Around this time, you're not looking for a challenge, and maybe you are, and that's fine. But around this time, you just want a fun experience. And if you can just kind of go through it, go through the motions, and, still do a few things along the way to help you strategize on how to make it easier for you without just grinding and dying all the time, perfect. And Mario RPG had all those elements, and even the added element, which I absolutely love, as someone who kind of gets bored with turn-based RPGs, like, I hit you. Now I'll stand here for you to punch me in the face, which wouldn't happen in real life. But at least with this one, it gives you the added element of, if you hit your timing with the button, then you'll do like extra damage or something like that too. Wonderful experience. Even I wasn't that into sports games, but even I played me some Ken Griffey Jr. Winning Run. It just looked different, and it just hit different. This is a baseball game for the Super Nintendo with backing of Nintendo, because it is Ken Griffey Jr., it's the Mariners, and Nintendo had a big old piece of the Mariners, and it was made by Rare. The company that gave you Donkey Kong Country and all that gave us a baseball game. And it just looked and felt better than a lot of other baseball games. And I'm okay with baseball games, because I think they're pretty fun for the most part. And this one just felt cool, and it just looked cool. And it was Ken Griffey Jr., can't go wrong. Especially 96 Ken Griffey Jr. Lufia 2, you talk about some role-playing experience. Not really on the difficult level, but holy moly, there's a whole lot of enemy battles in this game. And it's not even a random encounter, because you can clearly see the enemies on screen as they're moving around when you're moving around too. But there's a whole lot of that going on with Lufia 2. To me, Lufia Lufia 2 looked like it could have been a Genesis game that was then ported to Super Nintendo. I think just the box where it's like, fight, run, whatever, I think it just reminds me way too much of Shining Force for me to eliminate that aspect of it. But Lufia 2 is fantastic. I mean, the Lufia games are great. There's like 5 or 6 of them in the first place. On the Super Nintendo, there's a couple of them. And then I want to say Lufia 2 was the prequel to Lufia 1. Is that right? Correct me in the comments. I know you do. You're great at proving me wrong, and I love you for it every single time. Don't be afraid. Reach out and say, hey. The Hadouken isn't in Mega Man X2, it's in Mega Man X1. For instance, just as if that actually happened. That happened a bunch in the previous video. I'm pretty sure Lufia 2 was set before the time of Lufia 1, if that makes sense. I think Lufia 2 is great. There's a whole lot of battles going on that one. We had a game called Mohawk and Headphone Jack. That's right, Mohawk and Headphone Jack. If Sonic the Hedgehog was on the Super Nintendo, I have a feeling it would look or feel a little bit like this, because you move way too fast for a Super Nintendo game, to the point where you just end up running into enemies anyway. And there's a whole lot of trippy effects and special effects, and then even when you're running, sometimes the whole screen moves with like the Mode 7-ness going on. Could you imagine like Sonic the Hedgehog on the Super Nintendo, where like if you went through like the loop-de-loop, Sonic would stay still and the whole screen would rotate? They would have done that for Super Nintendo for sure. And it's a little bit like that with Mohawk and Headphone Jack. I don't think the game's that great, but it still looks pretty cool. It's worth at least emulating and checking it out. Just look at the special effects. It's kind of trippy for the time. Tetris Attack was a cool game too. They've since re-released this as other styles or puzzles, and then it's on other platforms and stuff like that too. Tetris Attack, fun enough and easy enough, and it's a great puzzle game. It's match 3. That's all it is. The tiles are falling, but they're falling upward. That makes sense. Like the tiles are already there in the system, but you have to then flop the tiles around and then either match 3 down or across, and it just keeps rising and rising and rising until you hit your whatever you're trying to, whatever the goal is for that thing. I
Can't believe I'm getting married today. That tailor at Men's Warehouse made me look amazing. I got a 3-piece suit, new shoe, nice watch, and whoops, I was supposed to be at the chapel 2 hours ago.
Dick. Oh, whatever, dude. This is an LMG. Why am I getting fucking hit markers? Shut the fuck up.
it's a lot of fun. I still played it. Kirby Superstar was amazing. I was a huge fan of the Kirby games, and then Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo, literally on for the box, was like 7 games, 8 games in one. It was 8 games in one.
Box is that?
But then it has all these other little side games, like the Gourmet Race, like the Mega Country,
Stupid.
like, the Earth and stuff.
Dude.
And still, again,
fucking
a great
mangled
Kirby
me.
game where you still have your copy abilities, you can get a buddy along
Man,
the way.
I about had it with these fools.
It was so cool to see. It's still one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, in my opinion. The whole
Yeah,
games, for some
jerk.
reason, Miss Pac-Man. And not like Super Miss Pac-Man, not like Miss Super Pac-Man, not like Miss Pac-Man Goes to Hollywood. Nothing. It was just arcadey Miss Pac-Man
Love
on
it.
the Super Nintendo.
That is fucking yes.
Miss Pac-Man. Power Rangers
Love
Zero
Miss Pac-Man.
Battle Racers. That's right. Power Rangers Zero Battle Racers. A little bit
Dude,
Mario
nobody-
Kart-ish, but this time it's racing games. So instead of having the fighting games or the else that we've had for Power Rangers in the past, now we have Power Rangers.
Your smell
Zero.
is smooth.
Drive around, of course, and you can use an item every once in a while if you'd like.
I think
It's
I'm gonna keep
Mario
this one.
Kart-ish. Not super great on the controls, but it's something, especially if you're a huge
Dude,
Power
why
Rangers fan.
would this
Did you
one
play
be
Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? This game
Put a
features
thermal
no
on this
less
shit.
than a bazillion characters you can choose from. Not that many. There's like over 20 characters you can choose from in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. A lot. And it's more Mortal Kombat. Donkey Kong Country 3, this one featuring Dixie now. Before we had Donkey Kong Country
Hit
1,
markers,
Donkey Kong,
dude.
Diddy Kong, good to go. Donkey Kong Country
Get
2,
the
they
fuck
have Diddy Kong
gone.
with Dixie. And now Dixie gets her own game along with the other guy, and it's more Donkey Kong Country with the new character, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Now available on the Super Nintendo. If you like the Donkey Kong Country games, you won't love this one. We did have Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems came out in '96, and it was alright. It was another side-scrolling 2D beat 'em up. You get to choose which Marvel character you want to play as. Very Avengers-like without calling it the Avengers.
Where
You can
the
play as Captain America,
dude.
or Spider-Man, or Iron Man,
This
or Hulk.
fucking guy,
I'm
dude.
going off memory now. Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk.
In a
And then
fucking
goes in that
watch your corner, dude. There's a
I
fucking
want to see what
dude.
it was Wolverine. How did I miss out
Fucking
on
kill
Wolverine?
somebody right
Okay, so
now.
that's why it's called Marvel and not Avengers. Because Wolverine. Hello. So on that note, it plays okay, and the other enemies are other Marvel characters. So you kind of play it to see who else is going to be there. It was a great rental. Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. You play the role of Maui Mallard, and the game is called Cold Shadow, if that makes sense. You're Donald Duck. But again, Disney and Looney Tunes to an extent too. Disney is almost like the characters are Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, all these other characters who are just themselves, and they're actors in these cartoons, in these movies. So Donald Duck plays the role of Maui Mallard in the role of Cold Shadow, and it's actually a very decent game. Games that are Disney games are usually pretty good, and the animation is through the roof. I love this game for the animation, and it plays okay too. It's fun and worth checking out, especially for the time. You ever play Casper for the Super Nintendo? This one was a little interesting. Casper, love the movie, and you play as Casper, but Christina Ricci's character is always kind of scared a little bit, so you have to use these items and transform into things to protect her along the way too, and it just looks okay. It looks kind of cool. Could have been a better game or better experience, I think, personally, but it's there. Incantation, another Titus Software game. Going forward, a lot of Titus Software games, and this one especially looks like that kind of European style a little bit. But pretty decent game. It's like a run and, not really a run and gun, but it's a run and platforming, pick up items, basically use your magic wand to cast spells on these, on the things that you need to cast spells on. It's kind of a run and gun, but still cartoony platforming, pick up all the items that are floating around and everything. It's alright. And like how earlier we had Miss Pac-Man, just the arcade version of Miss Pac-Man, at the end of the year for 1996, we had Mr. Do. I mean, Mr. Do wasn't even on NES. We wasn't even on the Famicom. That's how older this game.
Hardpoint located.
Okay, yeah.
Hardpoint set. Hostage captured.
I wouldn't lose
Locked down.
this to them not jet. Yeah. I can't. No, I can't. It's on the other phone. And I gotta call the bank because it's a new phone. That's before my phone got really bad. It got bad after that. I'm calling the bank first thing in the morning.
They're the CIA. Think they were just gonna let you walk all over them?
Yeah, I know. I gotta call the bank first thing in the morning. Alright. So I gotta call the bank first thing in the morning. Okay, Margot. I will. That's fine.
Yes, Mr. Do.
Yeah. Alright, that's fine. Yeah. Come on, man.
From Universal. I wish they would make a Universal collection to have all these great Mr. Do games. But Mr. Do, it was a favorite of mine in the arcade. I loved the arcade version. I prefer Mr. Do's Wild Ride, which we would have had a compilation that had, Mr. Do's Castle, Mr. Do's Wild Ride, Mr. Do, Do Run, but Do Run Run? Is that the other one? Run, Do, Run, something like that? I think it was the Do Run Run. Wild Ride was my favorite. I love that one. But this is just old school Mr. Do. And
nothing. It had
player as well, so that's kind of nice.
some of that purple drink on it. So I put it out, took it out.
90, when it came out, 80, 81, 82, somewhere in there. It was maybe even 83. It was a classic arcade game. So much fun. A little big nuggy, but you can also shoot a bullet and do that kind of thing. I don't know. I still like Mr. Do. So the fact that it's on Super Nintendo, it's fine by me. And we're running out of years for Super Nintendo. Make sure you binge watch the other videos leading up to this year. And we have more videos coming out super soon. Again, I hope you're subscribed. Thank you for watching. We'll get some more videos out to you right quick.
I need gas money, but I don't get paid till next week. What should I do?
Don't even stress about it. Just download the...
Oh, shut the hell up.
Well, you got John Riggs here checking out some great games from HAL Laboratories for the NES. I've had a lot of requests for this one. I was like, I don't think you have a whole lot of games, but 11 games for the NES, and we're going to cover all of them in this video. I asked God to take my habit away. God said no. It is not for me to take away, but for you to give it up. I asked God to grant me patience. God said no. Patience comes from enduring tribulations. It can't be granted. It must be earned. I asked God to give me happiness. God said no. I give you blessings every day, but happiness is up to you. I asked God to spare me pain. God said no. Suffering distances you from worldly cares and brings you closer to me. I asked God to make my soul grow. God said no. You must grow on your own, but I will guide you so you don't get lost. I asked for many things that I might enjoy in life. God said no. I gave you life, so that you may enjoy all things. And then I asked God to help me love others as much as He loves me. I asked God to take my habit away. God said no. It is not for me to take away, but for you to give it up. I asked God to grant me patience. God said no. Patience comes from enduring tribulations. It can't be granted. It must be earned. I asked God to give me happiness. God said no. I give you blessings.
Nothing, it's just a video. It's supposed to be Anthony Hopkins. This fucking dude. Watch out, man. What are these guys at? This? Stupid. Stupid. Yeah. Dude. Why do I keep... Oh, this goes... That's good. Can you get what happened when you rock and roll each do?
Enemy maneuvering. Grenade incoming.
Watch behind you, you fool. Oh wow, where is this guy? Where is he? Where is he? Where the hell is he? His little space-aged gun.
Target is hostile. Hostile down.
Dude.
One in my sights.
I asked God to take my habit away. God.
Watchdog Hilo incoming on your location.
Move up. Marksman is down.
Fucking shit.
Sharpshooter threat removed.
You're being outplayed, Crimson One. Step it up.
Ooh, look at smoke.
Don't reward failure. Work out what went wrong and fix it.
I asked God to take my habit away. God said no. It is not for me to take away, but for you to give it up. I asked God to grant me patience. God said no. Patience comes from enduring tribulations. I asked God to take my habit away. God said no. It is not for me to take away, but for you.
Come on, dude, come on.
It can't be granted. It must be earned. I asked God to give me happiness. God said no. I give you blessings every day, but happiness is up to you. I asked God to spare me pain. God said no. Suffering distances you from worldly cares and brings you closer to me. I asked God to make my soul grow. God said no. You must grow on your own, but I will guide you so you don't get lost. I asked for many things that I might enjoy in life. God said no. I gave you life so that you may enjoy all things. And then I asked God to help me love others as much as He loves me. God. I asked God to take my habit away. God said no. It is not for me.
Destroy the enemy.
I give you blessings every day, but happiness is up to you. I asked God to spare me pain. God said no. Suffer. God said no. Suffering distances you from worldly cares and brings you closer to me. I asked God to make my soul grow. Soul grow.
No problem.
God said no. You must grow on your own, but I will guide you so you don't get lost. I asked for many things that I might enjoy in life. God said no. I gave you life so that you may enjoy all things. And then I asked God to help me love others as much as He loves me. God. I asked God to take my habit away.
Lisa.
Let's move.
I asked God to make me love others as
This
much.
shit ain't working.
I asked God to make me love others as much as He loves me, and He said,
We got the lead. Now hold it.
Right where I left you. Sighted on target. I never forget a face.
"You guys finally you have the idea." I love that. Yeah. I love that. He said, finally,
Marksman down.
Beauty.
Well, that's
Sorry,
a
sucker.
problem. Which is now your
Shouldn't have been in my way, man. Yeah. What is? What is it?
Tossing stun.
Can you smell that?
Damn, dude.
Stun sent.
We've taken control. Backup's not coming. You want to get out of this alive? Better step up.
Easy peasy.
Take your head out your ass and your finger off the trigger.
Mission shit, a pull the plug. Time to fade.
put in. Shh. Yeah, guys.